Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to Studio X, and this is Iran's supreme leader to flee to Russia as Iranian regime goes bankrupt. Yeah, I'm guessing he hasn't done it yet because he says to flee. I understand this channel is like a military show channel that I was watching before, and there are many channels like this who just like hype shit out of it, right? Like, oh, this happened. Not really, but there is some truth to it type of way. It's an update, let's just say. It's Iranian update, like what is happening there. Uh, to me, it feels like kinda has slowed down, or no breaking news is coming out. Trump is not saying much about it. I think the deletion stopped, or maybe it didn't. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Let's wait fun. Yeah, my neck will be a bit weird because I tweaked my neck working out for some fucking reason because I'm stupid. So yeah, this is why sometimes my neck is doing weird things. Let's wait fun.
Iran's regime is collapsing. Protests have exploded across 31 provinces. Thousands are chanting death to Khamenei in the streets. And intelligence reports say Khamenei has an escape plan ready to flee to Moscow. For Russia, this is a nightmare. Because Iran isn't just another ally. Iran is the weapons factory keeping Russia's war machinery running.
Ooh.
And the last major regional partner Russia has.
Yeah, so true, man. Like all the drones and things, Iranian drones, like Russia kind of needs that, right?
Left after Assad fell in Syria. Zelensky put it best in his post on X. What is happening in Iran now, large-scale protests, effectively an uprising, is a clear sign that things won't get easier for Russia. And every decent person on this planet truly wants the people of Iran to finally free themselves from the current regime that has brought so much evil to Ukraine and other countries. It is crucial that the world does not miss this moment when changes are possible. Every leader, every country, and international organizations must step in now and help the people remove those guilty of what Iran has sadly become. Everything can be different. So let's talk about why Russia is terrified of losing Iran, and why this matters way more than you think.
Russia's war in Ukraine runs on Iranian drones, specifically the Shahed 136. These are suicide drones, cheap, deadly, and produced by the thousands. In 2022, Russia started importing.
Yeah, Iran has put their all the perk points into drones and ballistic missiles, I guess. Yeah, so Iranian drones is like Russia kind of needs that. But do they, like, what is Russia doing with those drones anyway? Is Russia making any progress? I don't know. I haven't seen any Ukrainian video recently. I guess I'll have to check that out. But yeah.
Them directly from Iran. Each drone cost Russia around $200,000. But by 2023, Moscow and Tehran signed a $1.75 billion deal for Russia to build them domestically at the Alabuga factory. And then numbers
Because they knew?
exploded. According to Ukrainian Defense Intelligence, Russia is now producing over 5,500 Shahed drones per month. In 2025 alone, Russia has launched over 38,000 Iranian-designed Shahed drones at Ukraine. The cost dropped dramatically, too. Russia now pays around $70,000 per domestically produced drone. It's an attrition strategy. Russia doesn't care if 75% of the drones get shot down. What matters is overwhelming Ukraine's air defenses with sheer numbers. Because defending against these drones is often harder and more expensive than making them. All of this was enabled by the Iranian regime, which gave Russia the blueprints and the technical expertise. It's not only the Shaheds, though. Iran is also selling Russia hundreds of missiles, worth nearly $3 billion since the start of the war. And Iran is using Ukraine as a testing ground for new weapons against Western defense systems. Weapons flow.
Alright, so it's about... Russia can't make their own missiles? Like, how bad is their manufacturing going? Like, I get it, they need Iran to manufacture things like drones and ballistic missiles because Russians are not enough. I don't know what's happening there, or maybe Ukrainians are shooting down all the things that they can do. Russia is such a weird place right now because, okay, who are their friends, right? It's Iran. Like he said, like Syria, that's fallen. Venezuela, Maduro's gone. India is there, but India is like a democratic country. It's not going to violate any international laws. So India can't really help Russia. China can help Russia, but I don't think China is going to risk that. Since China is doing so well, why risk an issue, right? Where US is like, see, we have evidence China is directly helping, Russia. And there you go. Like, China doesn't want conflict like that. So only few conflict-ridden countries like Iran is left for Russia. And if Iran is gone, Russia is screwed. And it surprised me that Trump hasn't done anything yet, because Trump is trying to get Putin to basically bend down. He did the Alaska thing, didn't work. If Trump takes down Iran and Iranian regime, not Iranian regime, Russia is really weaker. Isn't that what Trump wants in a way? So next time when Putin comes, he's more, like liberal in a way. He basically, like comes to a table rather than just mocking Trump. I don't know. I feel like there is a plan going, because it's not just easier. Maybe the plan is still underway. Maybe they're waiting for perfect moment. But I feel like Trump is gonna, take advantage of this chance.
Both ways, as Iran is also getting military technology and military systems from Russia. These are not isolated deals. They are part of one coordinated strategy to strengthen each other. A year ago, Russia and Iran signed a comprehensive 20-year strategic partnership treaty. This treaty covers weapons, trade, energy, and money. And in December, they added a detailed plan for military cooperation. This isn't just about Ukraine.
20-year strategy, and less than a year of regime topples. You know how weird that would be? Russia's like, come on, man.
This is an axis against all Western-aligned nations, and both countries use each other to evade Western sanctions and pressure. But the military partnership is only half the story. Russia and Iran are building something bigger, a trade corridor that could reshape global logistics. It's called the International North-South Transport Corridor, or INSTC, and it's Russia's...
Back up.
It's called the
Huh. It's surprised the Indian port Mumbai is part of it. Because would India trust anything that comes through Middle East? Indian-Pakistan border is literally border between Middle Eastern terrorism versus India. It doesn't cross that border. India is try really hard. It's literally like the Warhammer scene, where all the space marines are like stand as a shield, but those Tyranid horde comes. That's how Indian border is. It's really hard to do. Like, people don't realize. I have somebody makes video about that, but it's really hard. Would India trust this thing? That's what I'm thinking. This Indian thing will probably be used as an economical thing, because Russia India trades. I don't know about military. I mean, of course it's going to be military, but India's not going to directly help Russia to military ways. They're not going to make like tanks and weapons for them. Maybe technology swapped, sure.
International North-South Transport Corridor, or INSTC, and it's Russia's plan to bypass Western sanctions entirely. Here's how it works. The corridor stretches 4,500 miles from St. Petersburg in Russia, down through Azerbaijan and the Caspian Sea, through Iran, and all the way to Indian ports like Mumbai. It combines rail, road, and maritime transport through a joint maritime consortium. Russia's exports currently depend on the Black Sea route, which Turkey controls. Then ships pass through the Mediterranean and the Suez Canal. It's long, expensive, and exposed to geopolitical instability. The INSTC cuts that route by 40% in distance and 30% in cost. It reduces transit time between...
There's a bigger issue here. Why would Ukraine not target these railway routes and just disrupt it? See, Ocean Way is very easy, because you can't really damage ocean. Ships are still gonna sail. You can very easily damage railways. How is this gonna work? Right? And sanctions, India is not gonna ignore sanctions, because India has more to lose than to gain. So India is not gonna do that. So how is that gonna work? I don't know.
Between Moscow and Mumbai by up to 40% compared to the traditional Suez Canal route. Iranian President Pezeshkian told Putin in January, "I follow this project every week. That's how important it is to both countries. The corridor is nearly..."
Back up. Iranian president? Who is Khamenei then? Okay, you know what? I need to check this. Okay, what the fuck? Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, is supreme leader. Now, what the fuck is a president then? What is this, a ceremonious role? If the president... Okay, the leader sets the precedent. President is the leader. Otherwise, this guy cannot set a precedent if there is a guy above him. Ali Khamenei, if he's a supreme leader, how is he the president? I don't understand this.
January, I follow this project every week. That's how important it is to both countries. The corridor is nearly 75% complete. Last year, freight volumes hit 27 million tons, a 19% increase, and it's expanding fast. Russia and Iran recently announced plans for a new container ship consortium on the Caspian Sea. They're building logistics hubs at key points along the route, and they're integrating Central Asian countries like Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan into the network. Eventually, Russia wants to use this as an oil and gas corridor to transport their sanctioned energy products far from Western-controlled sea lanes.
Kazakhstan wants to be part of this. Kazakhstan's like, yeah, we do. We definitely do.
Last year, Putin announced that Russia would build a massive gas pipeline to Iran, capable of transporting 55 billion cubic meters of gas per year. That gas is not going to Iranian consumers, who have access to the second largest gas reserves in the world. It's going to be transported through Iran and then sent to customers around the world, for example, through the Iran-Pakistan pipeline. For Russia, this is more than economics. It's survival.
Iran-Pakistan pipeline going to New Delhi. You don't see a problem with that? After recent events, after India cutting off water supply, I'm pretty sure still cut off, like they still like shut the dam. You really think there's not going to be a problem between a pipeline going through Pakistan to India? You think India's going to be okay with that? You think Pakistan would not disrupt that line? Okay.
Sanctions have choked Russia's access to global markets. The INSTC offers a direct alternative, a sanctions-proof trade route through South Asia, the Middle East, and potentially Africa. For Iran, it's a power play. Iran becomes the central hub connecting Russia to the global south. That means transit fees, increased trade, and strategic leverage. Newsweek reports that Washington is watching closely and with great concern. This corridor could weaken their sanctions against both Russia and Iran and shift regional power. That is, if the Iranian regime actually survives. But Iran is more than a transit corridor for Russia. It is also one of their last remaining investment partners. In 2022, Russia's Gazprom energy giant signed a $40 billion memorandum of understanding with the National Iranian Oil Company. Gazprom was going to invest this sum into Iranian oil and gas fields to help develop the Iranian energy sector while earning a significant return on their investments. The two countries only signed more investment deals later, like a $4 billion oil fields deal in 2025. The reason is simple. Russia and Iran are the most sanctioned countries in the world, and they have to help each other out if they want to grow their...
Okay, India was taking a lot of oil from Iran. It was a decent amount. After sanctions, India literally shut off everything from Iran, which is a significant hit for Iran's income, because India was a big buyer. India had to shift somewhere else. This is to point out that India does not go around international laws and sanctions. That's not how India works. India is a democracy, largest democracy. How is this going to work? Because UN and international laws can just dictate Russia and Iran. If it passed through both of them, they are sanctions country. You can't really take oil or anything from that. So India just won't do it. There's going to be a problem. I think Pakistan would, but Pakistan is already in debt. How much Pakistan is going to buy? So I don't know.
Economies. But there is something deeper going on. Russia doesn't just need Iran for drones, trade routes, and investment deals. Russia needs Iran because autocrats stick together. Think about what Russia has lost in the past few years. Assad's regime in Syria collapsed in December of 2024. That was Russia's and Iran's main foothold in the Middle East. Gone. Venezuela's dictator, Nicolas Maduro, was just overthrown in South America. Another Russian ally. Gone. And now Iran's regime might be...
Okay, what? He can't walk in that clip? So the supreme leader of Venezuela is not very athletic. Is that what you're telling me?
Putin is watching these dominoes fall, and he's realizing something uncomfortable. If Iran's regime collapses, Russia loses its last major ally in the Middle East. The weapon supplies dry up, and Russia's isolation deepens. On top of that, Iran is quite close to Russia itself. They're not neighbors, but in the Caucasus region and in Central Asia, they've been historic rivals. When Iran makes a U-turn and actually turns against Russia, that has terrible strategic consequences for the Kremlin. But there's an even darker calculation. Putin knows that if another major autocrat falls to popular protests, it sends a message. It shows that mass demonstrations can actually topple entrenched dictatorships. And Putin doesn't want that message.
I don't know about that. People already know that. I don't think Putin has to be afraid of that, because if that shit would have happened in Russia, it would have happened already. Yeah, I don't think it's about that. This could be like, yeah, like he said, French Revolution level shit, right? In French Revolution, it was a big deal and everybody else was pissed off because that was the first domino falling. And everybody's like, if that can happen there, it can happen here. So there is that element a bit, like Syrian dictator is gone, ran to Russia. If Iran's like Khamenei does the same thing, North Korea and Russia both is like, okay, our walls are closing, allies are closing, right? Most of the world is democratic country. Like, what does this mean for our this opposite USA axis that they created? I mean, China there, right? China is there to support Russia and North Korea, and China's pretty big juggernaut. So maybe it's not that big of a deal, but who knows?
Spreading. If people in Moscow catch wind of what happened in Tehran, it might bring them ideas. Now, Russia is unlikely to send troops to help Iran suppress protests, because they've already stretched themselves thin in Ukraine. They simply can't afford to intervene.
What's with that
in the Middle
nose?
East. Also, the Russia-Iran treaty lacks a mutual defense clause, meaning that neither side is obliged to help when the other is in trouble. The only thing Russia could do is offer shelter, just like it did for Assad when his regime fell. That's the only security guarantee the Kremlin can give. At least when your regime falls, you can spend the rest of your days safely in Moscow. The Times reported in early January that Khamenei...
Okay, what if America attacks Russia the same way they did Venezuela? So not really attacking, but carrying a special operation to capture Khamenei. But they don't do that in Moscow. You know how that weird scenario becomes? Putin must be afraid of that. Because if I bring Khamenei here and if US attacks us like that, it's literally like somebody slapping you in the face. Russia can't really retaliate because they specifically went after Iranian leader, not Russia. So I don't know. That's kind of weird, right?
already has an escape plan ready. If security forces defect to the protesters, Khamenei and about 20 close associates, including his son Moshtaba, are prepared to flee to Moscow. Think about that. The supreme leader of Iran, the man who's ruled since 1989, has a ticket to Russia sitting in his pocket just in case. So, what happens if Iran's regime actually collapses? For Russia, it's catastrophic. The drone supplies stop. The INSTC projects stall because you need a stable Iranian partner to complete the railway and manage the transit hubs. And Russia loses its strategic influence in the Middle East entirely. And it goes further than that. If the regime falls and a new Iranian government is accepted by the international community, the sanctions could disappear. That means Iranian oil exports could surge, pushing oil prices down and hurting the Russian economy. So Russia desperately wants Iran's current regime to survive, even when the Iranian people are clearly opposed to it. They've copied Tehran's propaganda, denouncing the alleged foreign interference in Iran. Russia has too much invested in this relationship to have it collapse. But now Khamenei is on his own. The protests that started December 28th were initially about the economy, record inflation, currency depreciation, but they quickly evolved into demands for regime change. As of January 9th, protests spread to all 31 provinces. At least 62 people have been killed, including 48 protesters. Khamenei's response? Shut down the internet, cut international phone lines, blame the protesters for acting on behalf of Trump and Israel. But the reality is starker. Iran is broken. Its proxy...
My own people in every single province, the Iran itself is acting out for US and Israel. So that means that's what people want. You are supposed to lead them. You are for them. They are not for you. If every single person in Iran says like, okay, we are for US and Israel, then Iran is for Israel and America. What are you talking about? How do you blame them and attack them? What does that even make sense? Like, I don't know.
in the Middle East are weakened or destroyed. Its major backers, Russia and China, can't or won't provide enough support. And the Iranian people have had enough.
One of the problems with making videos like these, where we show a lot of drone strikes, even if no human or Russian soldiers are getting hurt in the video, YouTube usually demonetizes or restricts our videos. In fact, in the last week, we had 4 of our
All right.
videos get demonetized. According to YouTube, showing drone strikes or even footage from the front lines is not advertiser friendly, and that's why the videos are restricted. But this is the reality of modern warfare, and this is the war Ukrainians are fighting and trying to survive. So we believe it's important to cover this all, and that's why we launched our own platform, Basics.
All right. Support this guy by going to the original video page link. But yeah, I don't. People are resistant to going to other platforms, and YouTube knows this. That's why YouTube just they don't want to change anything. I don't know. It feels like maybe YouTube has changed a bit. Like I post videos myself, and there was a time about a year ago. Anything you post, even slightly questionable, YouTube's like, nope, you can't do that. Like yellow marked. Nowadays, it doesn't happen that frequently. So I don't know. But yeah. Right, well, there you go. Iran's supreme leader about to flee to Russia. I don't know. Okay, this is just a day-old video. What is happening in Iran? Did it all die down, or is it just amplifying? I don't know. This weird times we live in. I guess we'll see. Right, well, if you like my next, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.